You must make some, what is that, spray on these rollers. They're nice and roll all over
I need to
them.
buy some then. I've got duct tape, I've got all kinds of things, I'll have you ready for you. Howdy, ma'am.
Low, low.
We're already live streaming, so y'all are being
On the mic.
Y'all are being watched.
Mic is hot.
Public. Nothing private going on here. Well, yourself?
Surviving?
Caught you paying your utility bill yesterday?
Oh, no. I was checking my mailbox.
I did do that, yeah. That's what I was doing, I was coming in and paying.
Oh, no, I was,
Oh, you got a pink one, didn't you?
I'm not a pink person.
I wondered.
Yeah, no. Out of the 4 daughters, I'm the tomboy of the bunch, so.
Now, who'd have guessed? Sure, a lot of material to cover.
Yeah.
I got back to my office today and pulled this out. Great, didn't charge. Something was wrong with the cord that I had on it. This is actually the cord the city gave me, and I had to fix it.
I see, is that duct tape or electrical tape?
Duct tape. It sticks better than electrical.
Oh, yeah, it does. Duct tape you can do anything with.
It's from MacGyver.
Yes, I remember the original MacGyver show.
I get bicycle toolkit back here on my bicycle. I have pieces of old top of tread with the cord, so they're flexible, and the tires that I use are maximum inflation. 170 PSI, so the rims won't go back, the
Right.
tires will. So I cannibalize those, take pieces of tape out for repairs.
Oh, yeah.
Rip it
Oh,
to
yeah.
these are already on
That way you don't have to get the kit.
and then I
Why
keep
do I have all these? Did y'all get one?
good layer of
For the slideshow?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, good.
So I keep a couple layers of that on the back, a couple of those, so you never know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
We have rescued a few riders over the years. Piece of duct tape. I was in the field all day. Your house was on our schedule, but we didn't get back in time, so. I've got the drawings done. I just want to be sure that the monuments are the ones I call for.
Surviving?
Hold on to those
Name of the game, right?
Set the marks on there.
Yeah, I wait time. Just seeing what the dogs were chasing after. It's like, oh God, what'd you find now? Oh, yeah. Oh, really? Oh, we know that there's a pair in our neighborhood, and they're not scared of you. They'll walk down the middle of the street while we're sitting outside and just look at you like that. Keep walking. It's like, my neighbor upset one time for doing his business on his driveway. Next morning, it was covered, his driveway was covered. So it's like, almost like the Godfather. He somebody got friends and came back and goes,
Well, there's two generators.
We've seen more foxes probably in the last 2 weeks.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know what this is. Vince may have pulled off the front.
One? A lot. Oh, yeah.
Because your lots are short.
Well, where my house sits, down in the creek bed behind my house, that's the city limit in the county. So, and it's open pasture behind my place, so it's like, oh yeah, They passed through it.
Deer?
No, fox.
Oh, yeah, I had a fox in the driveway the other day. In fact, I saw him go back and forth. I was in the office all day, and then I hear this loud screeching noise. I look out the window, and the fox is running by with something in its mouth. And, you know, foxes are generally very stealthy, so having something scream while he's carrying it is very non-urban. So he was in a hurry to get to wherever he was going where he could quiet it down. I never saw what he had. It was either a squirrel or a kitten. I don't know what else. There are enough cats in town. I didn't miss either one of them.
And my barn cats have no rattlesnake problem, no rodent problem.
Cats are
I just wanted to tell you on your agenda request,
That came with the house, so.
or I haven't had time. We've had so much going on. But I'm looking for commitment because I got the planner and I have had several developers that have been talking to me and I don't like the way it's going, so we definitely need this committee. And I've already had, I can't even remember the name, I've got about 4.
I hadn't either.
And it's like, they're telling me, well, we do this, or that's gonna happen, and, you know, it just shouldn't be that way. So I think I've council, people from council, I can't remember, but anyway, so we'll have you guys on it, and then you guys can meet with these people. The main problem is, you know, them threatening, and they can't do that. And so I think it's better for council, you know, you guys, more than one, meet with them, and maybe, you know, it'd be really cool if they could meet together, and then the other one can hear what kind of stuff the other one's, you know, saying, because it's,
You go that way, I'll go this way.
it's not, I don't know if that was the past, or they just think it's some mayor down that they can pull the wool over my eyes or something, but it needs to
Right.
very, you know, and they're,
Yeah.
well, we need starter homes, because there ain't starter homes.
And I think in our area, they keep the raccoon population in check.
And then another one, no, we can't get
We've
anything.
got plenty of them around our area.
What did they say?
Obviously, when we first got here, we had called our horses.
Wait a
Called our
minute.
horses from Alaska.
You know, we really need to
Down
look at
better
that
than
in
them.
agreement, because I understand it still stands, but
And of course, he was born in Alaska, so he said they kindly did anything being in his water trough. If it's somewhere, it's fair game, and he'll dunk it. So it's going nuts. Oh yeah,
Paul, you
killed many squirrels. Well, one morning we were getting ready for work, and I just heard it especially going nuts. Like, what the
I was
heck?
reading the paper that Sally did pretty bad.
And I mean, our horses were nuts, tails flagging, pork to chain. So I looked in the
And you said the planners are here late, by the way, I didn't even get to talk to you.
Not for this evening, no ma'am. But-
I are the water trough.
No, hey, how's it going, man?
In the water trough.
The planners?
Mother,
Not for tonight.
It's the next,
we're on the branch.
in the future, like
Yes,
tomorrow,
yes.
or whatever.
Actually, they will be here Friday. You're welcome to be there. I think it's at 1 o'clock. I'll send you an invite if you want to. Dan Sefco and forget the gentleman's name that's going to be helping us. Will be here. They're coming down to meet with us and make sure we're all on the same page.
Because I was just telling him, he had that agenda item, you know, for development, so, you know, maybe, maybe a committee or something on his last meeting, he asked for that agenda item.
Right.
Never mind, I'll tell you later. I just thought, no, it's not. I was just replying to, we hadn't said anything about his agenda item. But we don't, we just,
We had our horses on down here. I wouldn't never see it.
I'll put it up as an agenda item.
How's your wife doing?
They were so they acted with their hammer on it. Yeah, they caught one of my horses. Get up and latch, and all the I just wanted to know they had.
Just on Friday, he would spend his time too.
Actually,
We've been
get
beating
in
a
there
dead horse, I think.
Open it
and
up.
open the door. Yeah.
If he drops
Beside yourself.
It's like, oh, very good flash.
Actually, we had
It's like, oh, very good flash.
appointment with a rheumatologist. They ordered
Yeah, and unfortunately he did.
Went to that, got all that done. Rheumatologist said she don't see nothing wrong with the neck, kind of looking at nerve endings. And so went to a neurologist and they ordered a brain scan. And we got that done the same day. And we're waiting for somebody to look at that now.
It's okay.
Can't figure it out. Yeah. Going on 7 weeks. Yeah. She's frustrated. Really bad.
You guys are, I would be.
About the same, no better. Now figured it out. No. No, can't figure it out. It's unbelievable. We can go to the moon, but we ain't
Yeah.
figured this out. Yeah. Yeah. Keep trying.
They do it by process of elimination.
That's what we're going through. This must be the last item we're looking
As
at.
much as he's been
It's
through, that's
unbelievable. I
appropriate.
mean, they ruled out the heart right away because they think you're having a heart attack, you know? They ruled the heart out. We actually got a second opinion from a second cardiologist. Yeah. But, no, she's not normal. Not yet. The new normal. I call it, no, I do. The new normal. I
You
redo
know,
it.
one day it may just disappear, you don't ever know. I mean, that could happen.
Yeah.
Unexpectedly in your life.
Well, maybe so.
Well, I hope you figure out something so that just,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
It's changed my lifestyle a little bit. She hadn't drove a vehicle since it started. Because some part of it was she was a little lightheaded and had some dizziness at times too, so it ain't, yeah, it was just her choice. She didn't think she should be doing any driving. I'm having to go grocery shopping and run errands and take her here, take her there.
Have an Uber driver.
Yes. Yes, I have. Yeah. Bring this home, bring that home, you know. Before we were so independent. She did her thing, I did my thing, you know. Really? Oh, boy. I'm having a hard time adjusting. It's cramping my style.
It's all about you.
It is, I'm being honest with you.
Well, I'm sure your grandparents too.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm telling you.
The ladies are fighting back.
Yeah. Don't tell
I don't
everybody
disagree.
in the city what's going on with me. Oh my God. You're gonna get me killed is what you're gonna
You know,
do.
we already live streaming now, so everything goes in.
It's a hot mic.
He did not get fair warning. It's fine.
I'm gonna talk about it. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it.
I'm done. You can walk across the street. No problem, but now you try to get killed if you try that.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem like it's going.
it's daily traffic. That's the key word. And then I'll talk to you about it. I'll talk to y'all about it, what that means.
We're gonna be really messed up.
That's,
Yes, sir.
Sis cut off my eye. Clear as day.
exactly. But they consider daily traffic, traffic specifically to the city. And so that is, we have through
She's
traffic.
got an appointment with somebody.
Through
Too, and we're really close to
And the next, there's another slide that shows how Hondo and whatever they are, they have peaked this one. this is it, and it shows that whatever that is, and whatever this is, they have spikes because they can't get, honestly, they told me they're losing business because they can't get through to Hondo, people, because they're stuck in traffic. So anyway, that's why I'm asking for a committee.
Which is Wednesday, that's why I was.
And that's what Tech Stop is going on about. Well, you don't have, the traffic show like this. And the deal is, yeah, we got through traffic to make those spikes. So, what does that mean? But anyway, I think he gave us some options. Yeah.
Settles back down now.
Right, because it's going to us. Because they don't consider the through traffic daily traffic.
Email and
That's the issue. He explained that it's a lot more involved. Oh, a few minutes.
Oh my God. Smarter than everybody.
Yeah, it's really good though. It's that iWatch, and like I've always visited my phone, so it's a phone finder. Our students would cheat with these things.
You can get everything you don't know. You can get anywhere else. Those are hard to find. Okay. Particularly if you got one as long as it's true.
Time is up.
My prescription's 559.
559 is what I have.
That's about 559.
All right, we're going to call this council meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Let it show on the minutes that everyone is here, all right? Nobody's hiding. Yeah.
Nope.
Everybody's there. All right, good. Would you please stand for the pledge and for the Texas pledge and invocation? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
The Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee and to Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
And we had the invocation by Pastor David Barnes, Westover Hills.
Shall we pray? Father God in heaven, we do come to you seeking your blessing on our community and city. You have told us in your word, I will honor those who honor me, and I will despise those who think lightly of me. The leaders of this city, by asking for this moment, have chosen to honor you and to seek your blessing. We lift before you these leaders of our city and ask that you help them in the decisions they make today. Honor them like you did those great leaders and administrators of government whose stories we are told in the Holy Bible, so that our city leaders may have the foresight and forward planning of Joseph, who served as prime minister over the nation of Egypt, to prepare our community for both the opportunities and challenges in our future. May they have the integrity and administrative skills of Nehemiah, governor of the province of Judah and the city of Jerusalem, who determinedly and persistently fought for the safety and prosperity of his city and the people he loved. May they have the courage and commitment of Daniel, the leader of the great city and province of Babylon, to stand for what is right, even when it may seem politically inexpedient and of great personal cost to do so. May they and we be always mindful that you have declared in your word in the book of Daniel that we are to praise the name of God forever and ever. For you have all wisdom and power. You control the course of world events. You remove leaders and set up other leaders. May we be mindful to honor them and to honor you, and of the fact that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of the world and gives them to anyone he chooses. And for everyone in this room today, as you admonish us in Romans chapter 13, may we show respect, all of us show respect to our governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. But these servants, these authorities are God's servants, sent for our good. You have instructed us to give to everyone what you owe them, to pay your taxes and government fees to those who collect them, and give respect and honor to those who are in authority. We ask all these things in the name of Jesus, your Son, King of kings and Lord of lords forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Father.
All right, we're going to look at the consent agenda, but before we start, I need to clarify something that Mr. Byers asked me to do. If you would look at the minutes in regard to the hiring of the police, I think that is page 4, the June 11th discussion on process. I need to make sure that everyone understands that what council first thought about was a committee of 2, and we had several people that wanted to be on the committee. However, we discussed it, and for transparency, we had then decided to do it randomly. And Mr. Byers, whose agenda item that was, made the motion. And to have 2 randomly chosen council members. Am I allowed to say what we're doing now, or we'll do that later? We are working on it. Staff has a checklist that has been verified by several people, and staff will call the applications according to the checklist, and then it will go to our city administrator. So following typical procedure, it will go through the administration. Okay? All right, that's all I have to say. Are we good with the minutes?
On the minutes for the special council meeting that we had on the 17th of June, can you add me as being there?
Where is it?
No, ma'am, I'm missing.
She was there.
All right, thank you.
What page, I'm sorry?
The first page of the
June
17th meeting,
I didn't have her as
I wasn't there
Oh, wish you were.
when we walked around the airport.
It was her.
Oh, that one.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't.
That's her
I
ghost.
know for a fact you were.
There's pictures, I saw it in the newspaper.
All right. Do I have a motion to consent to the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as revised.
Have a second?
I second it.
Okay. All members agreeing? Say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're good. Now we're going to hear from citizens. If any of you would like to say something, please come up, tell us your name, your address, and what you want to say.
Mayor, Council. My name is Darren Schroeder. I live at 1410 Gentiles. I just wanted to thank you. I know that you're putting together a lot of committees and you're working on a lot of the stuff that needs to happen around the city. The one thing that I wanted to encourage you as you're looking at these committees, you're looking at these special projects and special initiatives, it's a great thing to do, but you have commissions or committees and boards that are already put together to help funnel some of that through. So I would just encourage you, as you're looking at these commissions, make sure that you're leveraging the boards that you already have out there, the kind of the separate groups, kind of focus groups are really, really good, but we just risk, if we don't organize that well through the mechanism that's already in place, we'll end up kind of going awry and not working it through the system. So I just encourage you to do that. Other than that, thank you for everything you're doing. I appreciate all of the cooperation that's happening on the council, and so nicely done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darren.
Anyone else? We'd rather listen.
No money. Bob Lee, 1314 Gentiles. Two things. One of the water meter adjustments, if you read this. There's a statement in the agenda package about water leaks on the customer side, and if you don't charge for it, then the city must pay. Where does the city get that money? Primarily from taxes and utility income paid by those same citizens and others to some degree that come shop. I think you should consider giving a customer with a verified repaired water leak an adjustment of one billing period. Why? Those same customers that have that leak are the same ones that subsidize, if you will, all of our other things that don't make money. Library, Parks, Rec, and all the rest of that kind of stuff that allows us to have those utility transfers. We go ahead and do that, and they're things that really don't produce enough income to cover the cost. Also, I wanted to let you know about a couple of cases. I had a wintertime utility bill one time that said I had 90,000 gallons of water used in a winter month. Okay, the month before, about 2,000 to 4,000. Month after, 2,000 to 4,000. That month, 90,000. You can't hide 90,000 gallons worth of water. You just can't. Okay, I had the meter checked. It was okay. I paid the bill, but that's happened to another customer here in town too. But something went awry. I didn't have a leak, nothing was fixed, and it went away, but I still paid. So you need to give that some thought. Also, the Bonita Valley Little League, everybody knows they're a big benefit to our city. They get 12 acre-feet of water every year for free, okay, 12 acre-feet for free. If you do the math, that's about $24,437 worth of revenue if you took the middle of the revenue schedule out of the ordinance that you don't get. Okay, you don't get it. Essentially, the rest of the rate-paying customers subsidize that almost 4 million gallons of water that can be used out there. If that isn't a leak, I don't know what is, because it's something we're all paying for. That's a big amount of money, and I'm not necessarily saying you shouldn't do that, but you're already giving consideration for things like that. You know, the pool leaked over 10,000 gallons a day for years, okay, until we got around to fixing it. Citizens paid for that. And so all I'm saying is there's lots of things that happen. Somebody left the valve on front of the water tank on the hill once, 500,000 gallons down the drain. Citizens paid for that. The same ones that once in a while might want to get a break on a utility bill. So I think you guys ought to talk that over for the few people that might apply to and see if we might come up with a better thing. By the way, the sewer bill is the same throughout the whole year until the new averaging goes into effect. So adjusting the sewer bill for a month, it doesn't mean anything, really. It's like $20, $25, it's nothing. Traffic calming, a couple of questions. Before we do anything, what is an acceptable amount of traffic through Castroville? How do we know when we're there? Okay. If it stayed just like it is now, is that acceptable or not? I don't know. I don't hear that. And exactly what are the impacts we're looking for from alleviating traffic issues? So how do we know what the problem is? Who is it impacting? It's not the residents so much unless they're crossing 90 or going from Walmart to the post office, because most of the other traffic is through traffic. Residential areas are not on 90, so it's basically the people that are on 90 that seem to be mostly impacted. There are some solutions you can do to help people in town cross the road, like more lights or maybe even an underpass under Highway 90. But let's define exactly what the problem is, how we know it's the problem, and what we're trying to solve as we get into that effort. But I'm all in favor of y'all doing that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Joanne Haywood, 1408 Alsace, the First Baptist Church. And I called today and spoke with Patricia about our bill. We got a really high water bill. And she said that y'all were discussing this issue tonight, whether or not you would allow adjustments. Our water bill for last month was $2,061. It's normally not nearly that high, and it was because we had a leak. It was in a riser room that was not, it didn't flood anything. It was in a riser room that's kind of located between buildings. And so the plumber came and he said that what had happened was there was a lot of clogging in there from dirt and sediment and stuff. The city had had a water main break a couple of months before, and y'all came out and fixed it. And he said probably a lot of that sediment got in there, and so when the water went to drain, it didn't, and it just for I don't know how long, but quite a while. So I guess I am asking that you consider special cases when someone has fixed something and there is a bill. I also looked online, and I found that there are lots of cities that do work with customers: Fort Worth, Madison, Wisconsin, Colorado Springs, Arlington, Virginia. And then I saw where a gentleman wrote suggestions online for utilities and how you go about doing that. So, and y'all may have already done all of this. I don't know, so I just kind of wanted to put that out there and ask that you consider special cases when there's a bill that is enormous. So, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Could you repeat your last name, please?
Sorry. Haywood, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, thank you for the opportunity. My name is George Luna, and I pastor Hillside Chapel at 1602 Alcis. And we've also experienced similar situations to the previous people who have come and stated about the water issues, and we've gotten replies saying, well, maybe there's a flopper that's been left on in the toilet, or maybe this, that, or what have you. And we've checked and revised everything, but no. But we've also experienced fluctuations, differentiations in the water gallons, and then also in the cost associated with that. The other thing is, I'm thankful and grateful that we're a nonprofit entity. I wish we could contribute more to the county, and we try in various other ways. But one thing that I've noticed is on the bill, we're charged a $10 drainage fee every month that comes on the bill. And I don't know exactly what drainage they're referring to. I can kind of guesstimate, the drainage that they're talking about, but there's really nobody that's come out there and maintained any of those drainage ditches or cleaned them out, or maybe even done any type of excavation to where the water could properly flow. And so when we go to do mow the yard, it is quite a chore when you've got these marshy areas that you're trying to mow where there should be some type of drainage, but there's no drainage. And so it's just a comment that I want to go ahead and make, and also concur also with some of these residents here today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, so we will close citizens' comments at 6:15. Do you think it would be appropriate to put that particular agenda item now, since they were talking about it, or does it make a difference?
That's up to you.
All right, I would like to do that. So if we could move to item 11, which is discussion and appropriate action on recommendations from staff to address water adjustments for customers in the Castroville Utility Services Policy. And before Lee begins, all of this was before I got here. We are losing a lot of water, and Lee will talk to you about it. And I know we're not a nonprofit, but the problem is we have no revenue in this city. That's something we need to think about, is how we're getting revenue. And our revenue, sadly, is utilities. So I understand, because I'm a citizen and I had to pay a horrible bill too, and I complained because it was on my side. But I truly understand, but we have 1,002 customers, I believe, and inside City Hall, we get, I think this month we probably have, I don't know, thousands of gallons of people that want adjustments. My priority here is to get something that's standard, because in the past it's been, okay, let's do them, and we'll do this, and we'll do that. And there's not been any continuity. I don't know, perhaps with Mr. Lee's administration there was, but there's nothing in our utility policy. So that's why I've asked staff to look at it. And I do appreciate your concern, Mr. Lee.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'd like to state, one, staff is sympathetic to water loss. It's a challenge, whether it's on the personal side or on the city side. And I'll kind of preface my discussion in what we brought to you guys tonight as one recommendation that we can move forward with. As the mayor just alluded to, part of the challenge is we've not really kept up with our utility rates. We're facing major issues with that. And the former Mayor Lee was very correct. In the general fund, you do subsidize services, where it's police protection with taxes to be there. The difference between general fund functions and utility functions, the term enterprise fund is business-like. It is quasi-for-profit. The challenge that we face with our utilities also, as the mayor just stated, we're losing a lot of water because our system, one, the size and the issues, we're losing anywhere from 15 to 20%. If you begin to write off private citizens' water loss, that has to be included in your water loss, which also affects your grants and those types of things. That's one action that actually I would have included in my transmittal message that I sent you guys tonight, but our Public Works Director was talking about that to me this evening when I was coming in. So those are kind of some of the prefaces that we're looking at with the challenges. Staff has recently phoned the surrounding agencies that provide water utilities. None of them provide adjustments for water on the meter on the customer's side. So it seems to be standard in this region. I have worked in some cities that do adjust water. That's something as an option there. And so what I brought to you guys tonight, to me, is low-lying fruit, if that's the best term to begin to look at. As the mayor stated, we do not have a water adjustment policy or ordinance right now. Some administrations have adjusted those without that policy, but I feel like without having the enabling legislation, staff cannot adjust those. So what I would propose tonight is, one, you have in the policies where you can the administrator can create a payment plan for those things. The other is look to maybe adjust the sewer bill. And the rationale behind adjusting the sewer bill is a lot more easy to, I think, come to a decision very quickly without in-depth study and discussion, because as the lady was mentioning a second ago, the water never entered the sewer pipe, never went to the treatment plant. So there's not really a burden on the sewer system if water is lost internally. And so what staff would recommend, at least for right now, and if it behooves the council, we can look further to do maybe water adjustments. It's going to take a little bit longer to be able to do it, but is to take the preceding months of, if you have a water leak in, let's say, June of this year, take June of last year, and was it in May of last year, take the average water usage and subtract it from that total and calculate what the sewer bill would be. That's an easy adjustment. It's a lot more difficult to begin to create a system. I don't know if we really, within 2 weeks, and this is the challenge I ran into, is coming up with the best plan if the council does want to look at adjusting this water loss. And it would take a little bit longer to do it, because I don't really want to do a quick reaction, because we have bond covenants, we have a lot of financial issues that we need to look at, and I don't know how many water leaks necessarily on the personal side we'd be dealing with. So it's difficult to get in a, I hate to say a hurry, but to do this in a very reactionary manner. And at this time, Mayor, I'll hand it over to any questions that you guys might have.
I did give you guys the sewer policy at the last meeting and asked you to look at it. And if you don't remember, it was this one that we had at our last meeting. So it's all in here, and you won't find anything about adjustments if you looked at it. And the reason, one of the main reasons I've been pushing this is because I'd just like to share something with you. There was an older lady that came in just, 2 weeks ago, and she had a leak, and it was very serious. It was a lot of money. She was in tears, and she said, "Mayor, I'll get a loan. I've already talked to my sisters and my friends. You know, we'll go in together and get a loan to pay that off, because I want to pay it off." And there was no discussion about, can you adjust it or anything. And I felt bad for her, and I said, we're going to do something, we'll see what we can do. And that's why I keep pushing this, and I really wanted some kind of answer from reading this last time, but I understand everyone's busy. But it's a problem. I understand your frustration. I'm a customer too. I ended up paying $650 one time because it was on my side. But we have to do something. If citizens want to give us, input, give us input, but we cannot go on like this. We can't. Yes, sir.
I would just like to offer to the council, if there's somebody there that has a leak on their side, and perhaps maybe they're elderly or disabled and they're not able to accommodate to call, I'm a licensed plumber, and through Hillside Chapel, we try to do outreach to people that have disabilities or people that are not able to pay for certain things that need to be done like that, handicap ramps, or whether they have to make the doors wider because, or accommodate some kind of changes in the home because now they're in a wheelchair or what have you. And if they could let us know somehow, we'd be more than happy to try to assess the situation and see how we can be able to contribute on our end to assist some of our residents that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to give us something? Lee, what? Yes, ma'am.
Can I give y'all anything?
No, that's not.
Okay, that's fine. In this thing that I looked up, he's a senior consultant with Logix out of South Carolina, 35 years developing and implementing utility billing and financial software, consulting with utilities and municipalities. So this is what he does, and he talks about the adjustments and, what can and can't be done. So, I mean, there are, and I understand the timing thing. It's really hard to put together a program, but there is a way to do that.
I assure you.
So,
am I allowed to discuss?
Yes, ma'am.
We have research, but we're in a unique situation because we're with Edwards Aquifer. Edwards Aquifer Authority only gives a certain amount of water according to permits. And our city has a certain amount of water that they're allowed for municipal use. That is what makes us very different from other places that have revenue, tourists, and don't have the restrictions that we have with permitting in this particular county. So that's another problem that we have right now. It's not like we have ever-ending water. We have a certain amount of permits, and actually, customers have been acquiring water, and that's part of the bill. We have a fund that we use to buy water rights. But luckily, we're good. I think the only problem we had was a well or something we had to plug.
Yes, ma'am.
But I understand your input and your help, but we have a very unique situation here in Medina County. Okay, I'm done. Yes, sir.
I rarely get anybody call or anything about anything that's on the agenda. I've had a couple of people talk to me about this. Now we had a couple of people here. So this is obviously a problem. As Mr. Lee said, we either give away or lose tens of thousands of gallons every year. I mean, when the pool was leaking 10,000 gallons a day, I don't know, that's probably what, 3 to 5 customers per month bill. So at that, and I don't think any of us were here at that time, but that pool should have been shut down and either closed or not fixed. Also, I know that we've had people call in and have a leak right there at the meter, and they don't know if it's on their side, they don't know if it's on our side. I had a next door neighbor call 5 times. Not one time did we get anybody out there. And unfortunately, and I don't like to do this, I had to kind of use my position to come get somebody to come out there. That had been leaking for well over a month, and it was on our side. So we're losing water there. We subsidize the Little League to the tune of $25,000 to $30,000 a year worth of water. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying we do it. What I propose, and another thing, the sewer bill, if you're adjusting the sewer bill, I mean, you may get an adjustment of $10 off of a $2,000 bill. I'm sorry, that really doesn't impress me a whole lot. My my proposal would to take, like if you had your leak, let's just say June or this month, look at the last 2 Junes of your bill. Take the average of it for the water, not the sewer, for the water. Take the average, charge it to them. Now, my proposal in that also, if your bill jumps, say, $50, $100, I'm proposing that it has to at least double your average before we'll do any adjustments. And I also propose that you only get that once a year. You don't come in, you don't water your lawn in June and say, oh, I had a leak, I need it fixed. And then in August you have a drought, oh, I need some help. And you get 1 shot a year at this. And that's my proposal. And I think that would take care of our people. I mean, a $2,000 water bill and you're offering to give them a break on sewer. I'm sorry, but that's kind of like, you might as well do nothing for them. And I realize that's what y'all came up with, where you found ideas, but to me, I don't think that's anywhere near right.
All right, so I will say something and then we'll decide if we're going to look at this later. I gave you this information 2 weeks ago, and I asked for your input and I got none. And I'm not, blaming anyone, but I understand you're busy, but we cannot entertain a new proposal right now. So I would suggest you guys will discuss it. If you want to table this, and we'll put Mr. Councilman Byers' proposal in as another option, we can certainly do that.
It says
Mr. Dyer.
discuss and take appropriate action. Why can't we discuss it?
Well, he's given us a whole new option.
That's him. What about the other 4 of us?
No, I know, but I'm just prefacing, I didn't say that. I said, I suggest you think about it, and if that is what you want to do, or if you guys...
Well, I didn't take your note to mean send it to you other than at the meeting. That's why I didn't send you a note, but I have a position I'd like
All right.
to put forward.
Would you like to...
Sure.
Well, can I go in order?
I don't want to get out of sequence.
Mr. Carey.
I also support an averaging or an adaptation to something that Councilman Byers suggested, and that is that if, for instance, if the household consumption has changed over the last year, and his example was in June, look at last June and look at the May before that, and then look at the May before this, and see if there's a value adjustment there. But those can be averaged in. But yeah, I do support something a little more substantial than having a proportion of a very small sewer bill adjusted in a situation where you've got a customer who's facing a $1,000 expense.
That was an option he discussed, right?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
I'm just supporting it.
All right. Thanks. I didn't get that. I'm kind of Miss Councilwoman Martinez.
I agree with both Councilman Carey and Councilman Byers. I like that idea of being a victim of it myself in our neighborhood in River Bluff. We definitely need to do something with the water pressure and everything that's blown out many pipes in that neighborhood. So I just agree with it.
Mr. Dyer, Councilman Dyer.
We give the city administrator authority to make decisions up to $25,000 without coming to us and consulting. I think this falls in the city administrator's purview. I think the city administrator should look at each case and make a decision and make an MFR, put it in the file, and if the city administrator feels there's a real unusual case that got a lot of anomalies to it, he can bring it to the city council and ask us to make the decision. But I think we just need a policy that says we need to use common sense and apply common sense and let the city administrator make adjustments.
Okay. Mr. Schuler.
Is everybody in agreement that we're talking about the user side of the meter here on this across the board? Okay.
That is the user side we're discussing.
I think everybody's got a good idea, to be honest with you. I'm not for adjusting the sewer bill at all either. I don't think that's enough at all, you know. I've never had that situation, I have been a excessive water user on occasion, but it wasn't nobody's fault but my own. Little did I know, so I paid the price. But yeah, I think we need to use a common sense approach. I don't know if we find something between Councilman Dyer's suggestion and Councilman Byer's suggestion, but definitely need to use common sense, and I almost think that it has to be a case-by-case basis. You know, if you got somebody that's coming here and having it's a high water usage on a repeated basis, I think those are the folks that you don't work with. You know, once in a while, yeah, once a year, yeah. I don't know I don't have nothing cut and dried in my head.
Okay.
But I somewhere in between. I don't know how y'all feel about that.
Just one comment on the common sense. That's the problem. Because if it has been adjusted, some people got 30%, other people got the whole bill, other people got I brought stuff, but it's confidential, got their whole bill paid, the plumber's bill. Then others didn't get any adjustment whatsoever, and they had to pay the bill. Some people didn't even bother complaining, and they paid the bill. And the ones that did complain depended on the person, if the city administrator knew them or not, as being a good customer or a poor customer, a good citizen, or whatever you're talking about. That's my problem. And I understand what you're saying, but we've got 1,000-something customers, 1,000. Patricia gets, I don't know how many calls a day. This is taking staff time. It's causing anger, bad anger, and it's causing, I've had so many calls, you know, demeaning our sewer people, our water people, and our billing clerk. And it can't go that way. You know, it's this way or not. You can't let this poor woman sit there and say, okay, well, I'll tell them, but my neighbor got 30%, so I need 30%. And he got more because I don't know what happened. But I'm not saying our public works is perfect. This is a new administration. We are trying as hard as we can to get things straight. And I have to give as laud kudos as much as I can to the guys that we have right now, because they sit here talking with us about these problems till 6 o'clock at night, and they are working as hard as they possibly can with all the myriad and plethora of stuff you guys can't even imagine. And I probably shouldn't be saying this, but they are working hard, and this is low-hanging fruit that is taking time. It's causing a lot of anger between citizens and city. And my opinion, and again, your counsel, it's this way or nothing. And I understand the averaging, and I'm asking you for a standard policy. I do not want one person deciding what should be done with a customer out of 1,200. I can't. We need a standard policy. I need something written down. So you can say everybody with A. I don't know. So discussion again, but I need something that the staff, the city, the citizens, all are treated the same. All right, Mr. Byers, Councilman Byers.
Okay, I'd make a motion that staff come up with a policy, ordinance, whatever is appropriate, using the same examples I gave, where it's got to be a once a year occurrence. We're going to take an average of the water bills, not the sewer bills. And it's got to, and before it can be adjusted, the water portion has to be in excess of 100% of their normal usage before it can be adjusted. Also, I'd like to throw in there that they need to bring in a receipt showing they have had a leak fixed. That way, I think we can take care of that once a year person flooding their yard and then wanting to get that paid for.
Okay? Just summarize what you said. So you're saying once a year,
Once a year.
average of water,
Average water from the previous two
previous bill, yeah.
previous 2 years' months.
And then 100% over
It
normal.
has to be over 100% of that average.
And a receipt that they did have a leak
That
on
we
their
got it-
side
we
and
got
it
it
has
fixed.
been repaired.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Mr. Carey.
Lee has a question.
Oh, I was going to go in order. Okay.
Well, Madam Mayor, the one thing, we can definitely come back with a proposal for this. The one clause is, if we're going to take the average of the previous year, so to be eligible, you shall be a water customer for 12 months, right? That would be my assumption with this? Oh, okay.
I don't know how you do that.
Mathematically, that would have to be the case.
Well, I'm just making sure because I don't know, because the problem that you face is could happen to someone's been here for 4 months and they could have a major water leak that's triple the bill, but you don't have the average to calculate it. Yeah. And that's part of the deal. The bigger you dig, you start digging into it, it gets...
Let me amend my, the average of the previous 2 months' water usage, rather than back up a whole year. May I amend that?
Well, keep in mind also, your water usage in the summer is higher than the winter. So it's hard, I mean, and that's where the sliding scale, I'm not trying to be throwing roadblocks, but the matrix is not as easy when you start looking at it. That's part of the challenge. The other thing is with the receipt, if my commode is running and Lee goes to Home Depot and puts a flusher in it and stops the leak, does that count compared to a plumber receipt?
Bring the receipt that you've had plumbing repair.
All right. Let's get a little more discussion.
Well, we have to- we have a first-
your commode's been running
We have
for
a
6
motion
months
and we
too.
have a second. We do
Wait,
not have
wait,
a
we
second.
didn't have a
Then
discussion.
You have discussion after the second.
All right, but I don't get your emotion yet is what I'm trying to determine because you just changed it.
Okay, the only thing I would change would be change it from averaging the previous 2 years' common month to the previous 2 months of water usage.
Okay, you got that? Can you read it back for us?
I can't put my hand around it. Or you not, oh, you're talking to me.
You to do it. Okay.
What I have so far, I believe, is staff is to bring back a policy or ordinance, whichever, using the same examples, once a year occurrence, average of the water usage of the previous 2 months.
Correct.
And, let me see what I've got. And the access of the bill, the bill has to be 100% of
In other
the
words, if their
average?
bill was, if the water portion of their bill has averaged $50 for the previous 2 months, before it can be considered, it needs to, the water portion would have to be 101 or 101 cent, whatever. Has to be.
100% increase.
It has to be doubled.
The gallons would double, would be the way, yeah.
But excess of 100% of that usage.
Of the previous.
Of the average.
Of the average of the previous 2 months.
Of the
And you got
average.
the 12 months in there automatically.
Well,
Okay.
They have to be
He
used
edited
for
that.
12 months.
He amended that.
I amended it
To
because
just 2
Lee
months.
brought up, what if somebody's here only 6 months? We can't go back 2 years. But chances of them only being here, let's just say they had moved in 2 months ago and had a leak today, we can't go back 2 years on it, so I said, let's go back the previous 2 months.
That was amended.
average.
So we're not going to include years.
Correct.
All right. Everyone good with that? You understand the motion?
I'm friendly, I didn't hear a second. Who seconded?
Well, we're waiting.
Oh, I was going to say, okay, I didn't hear a second. I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Is there any discussion? Everybody got what's happening? Mr. Elliott,
Yes, ma'am.
you got it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, very good. Okay,
There's a- I have-
all,
Yes.
I'm going to get there, but I keep talking, I'll shut up. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Good motion.
Thank you.
Records show that 100% passed. Good. So we'll go to the next one, the next item, which is actually the first item. Thank you.
One addition, can we also make that retroactive to any current situations that we're dealing with?
I would say,
Do we need a motion?
well, we also maybe want to put a timeline of retroactive.
Yeah.
Would we say like within the last quarter, 3 months or something like that? Because
Well,
you,
this current bill, the current bill we're looking at right now,
We have a couple cases that have been brought to us today,
Yes.
which we should address.
The
yeah.
ones that were really bad
Yeah.
2 months ago.
I would say within the last 2 billing cycles, maybe, I think that falls within that window of the couple customers queued up for the answer.
I don't think that has to be part of the motion. I think that's just be a policy.
The status.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right. Mr. Interesting. Mr. Byers, I guess I can do this, asked that we go into executive session because we have our attorney here.
Well,
Are we paying you to sit here, Mr. Bedford?
are you charging us $200 an hour to be sitting here? I'm sorry, I'm not a lawyer. But
All right, we'll go to the next one. What we're going to do is resend well, there's a different agenda, but we're rescinding the Assistant City Administrator as an officer of the city, and that is the first item we should have discussed, and I will read it. Consider and take appropriate action on adopting an ordinance rescinding ordinance number, I can't read because I scribbled on it.
2019-007.
Thank you. 2019-007, which designated the position of Assistant City Administrator as an officer of the city by appointment of the City Council. And that particular ordinance should be in your packet, I believe.
the current one and the
Page 11.
adopt the proposed.
And it is now, I guess it is an ordinance designating the position of Assistant City Administrator as an officer of the city to be appointed and removed by City Council, and providing cumulative conflicts and repealing sections and an effective date. This came up because our attorney suggested that we do this because it was done in the past for a certain circumstance. So he suggested that we get it off the books.
I'll make a motion that we pass your ordinance removing that position.
Oh, good. That was fast.
And I'm sorry, the second was?
I'll second it. Rescind ordinance 2019-007.
That one.
Any discussion? Anyone? Sure? Okay, good. All right, the next. Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm scared he's going to charge us even though. It's all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nick?
Record shows, passed.
I'm sorry, did I hear a nay?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
All ayes.
Okay.
All right. Now, we are going to look at the next item, which has been contentious in the past, from what I understand, so I put a little slideshow together for your entertainment. What we're looking at is forming a committee to provide a recommendation for traffic control options. I didn't put bypass because we're not saying bypass. What we're doing is we're trying to get a group together, anyone, to take care of this. So this is a picture I took on Sunday. And everyone said, well, it was because, I don't remember, it was Father's Day or something, I don't know. But it was probably around 2 o'clock, and this was the traffic on the bridge, which kind of concerns me, because what if we needed an emergency vehicle going through there or something? We're stuck. Okay, This is something I stole from Go Medina, which we are a member of, that you guys didn't know. All the citizens are all. And I just pulled some slides from it, and this gives you the trends that they found TxDOT did by counting. And they try and get a representative sample, but that doesn't always happen, because last time Hunt Lane had a hole in it or something, the sewer drop or whatever happened, and there was a lot of detours. So people, they had the counter out at that time, so they didn't actually get the true traffic. And so we need to understand the difference between daily traffic and through traffic. And this is just for you to look at. I'm not going to explain it because I cited it. This is where it's from. So if you want further information, you can get it there. And the next one. This is an example of TxDOT's process, what they would do, and this is what you would see. This is an example of 151, 410. And one of the things that kind of bothers me already with this one is add one more lane to IH 410 from England Road to US 90. So what do you think that means? That means more traffic. So we need to be aware of these things also. That's why I'd really like a committee to keep updated on these things when these things are coming to us. Next one. This happened, I found out, here in, I don't see, what's the date on that news? 1967. They had already decided that they needed to take care of traffic way back then. And that's sad. We're in 20, what are we in, 19? That was the first one. Then we get another article, 1973, it came up again. Nothing happened. So 15 years later, 1988, next one. So the problem is, we know there's an issue, we need to know how it goes, and I have heard all the gossip about, we're going to have to pay for it, it's going to cost us millions, no, the developer builds the road, no, we can't, it has to be over the city, over 90, no, it has to be on the south side, it has to be on the west side, development will mean it's going to be farther from the city, and that's going to be bad, blah, blah. So I'm not sure of any of that, if it's true or not, so that's why I want the committee together. And what is the process? If we want to bypass or even a new route, this is the process. The first thing would be local thoroughfare planning, private development. Our second option, regional mobility project, TxDOT and local collaboration. Those are explained in the next slide. So this is city, county, mayor thoroughfare plan. Private developers coming in, preserve the road, the right-of-way, or portions of a roadway on the thoroughfare plan. And I told you our thoroughfare plan has not been updated. Secure right-of-way dedications or reservations, typically, would be a local type road. And this is from Clayton Ribs, that's his information. The next one is the other option, which would be led by the city, county, and community groups, TxDOT involved, route studies, environmental studies, public outreach. I think this honestly would be our best way, but that would be the committee. Right-of-way would be acquired through federal state process, typically would be a higher capacity type roadway. And I'd just like to mention some things. I believe the chief told me, our interim, that a lot of our fines or our ticket money goes into TxDOT. Is that what you told me?
Correct.
So, please?
Anything we write on Highway 90, the city gets 10%.
So there's a lot of money TxDOT gets from us with all these speedsters that we have in the city. But we don't get anything. They get it all. Anyway, maybe we can draw from those funds or talk about them. Next one. This is where we expect the development. So these are the estimated traffic west and in Castroville. Starting in 2007, it was 19,500. 2017, 22,424. That's not an accurate, it's a plus or minus. study because of the counting and the representative sample, because they didn't really get what activities were happening the day of the counting. But that gives you a good idea what's happening. If we look at all the development that everybody says is coming, we're going to be in a mess. I talked to Mayor Danner, and next slide. We were talking about this, and you can see with the line graph that there are ups and downs. This is the average daily, which TxDOT is interested in. They're not interested in the through traffic, or that's not what they've been counting. But I think there's new technology now that they can check with the GPS from their phones or something like that, where they'd be able to tell if they're through traffic or not. But right now, we don't have those numbers. So anyway, this just gives you an idea, but it's not an accurate, it'll be a plus or minus. Next one. This is very interesting because it looks like, wow, Uvalde, look at that peak traffic, Castroville, nothing, Hondo, wow, look. The thing again on this one, it's daily traffic. And the issue here, as Mr. Dana pointed out, was that Castroville, nothing. So that means that Castroville, as far as daily traffic, no big deal. What we have is through traffic, which is the issue. And in fact, the mayor talked about how Hondo, with all this traffic, as well as Uvalde, our road is the only way to get there. And it is also affecting their business and their economic development because people don't want to drive in that mess. It takes them hours to get there. So all I'm asking for is approval to have a committee, and I've already got some people that are interested in being on it, and I would give it all to you guys. I can't take this myself, obviously, and it's not my place, but we really need to get something done on it. So I ask that you guys allow us to form a committee to look at this with TxDOT. Okay? Now what happens?
I'll make a motion.
Yes.
I move we authorize the mayor to organize and instruct citizen committee to look at thoroughfare plan, and that the mayor should set a timeline for that and ask the committee to make a report to the city council with recommendations at the appropriate time.
So I need a council liaison or someone from the council that would be willing to be the conduit.
I'd be willing to serve on that committee.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
The rest
I'll
of you
second the
certainly.
motion,
Okay, so what do we have now? So Mr. Carey will be our conduit.
I mean, we did look at this in 2005 when we did the master planning. I was kind of disappointed with the product that was delivered after
Okay.
that.
We're going to start all over, and we're going to get, recent information and things like that. Badger TxDOT till they come up with something. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're good on that one? All for?
Aye.
All against?
I'm sorry, who made the second? Did you?
Mr. Carey.
I volunteered to be on the committee.
No.
Todd. Todd,
I was a second.
Yes.
Dyer made the motion.
I got you, and you made the second. Okay.
And Paul's volunteered to be a liaison.
I waited till after Paul volunteered to get his name on.
That's right.
To make my motion, so that he cannot get out of it.
Very good.
That's kind of sneaky.
Yeah, you gotta watch these
The
folks.
voices are blending.
All right, I'm almost finished with you guys, so you can relax and wake up. The next one is discussion and appropriate action on forming a committee to research possible designs and placement of a welcome Castroville sign. I have another little slideshow here for you guys. I think we all remember Mr. Dyer brought this up. Mr. Dyer, do you want to just give us a little memory jog?
Well, I brought it up a few months ago, and there was no support by the city council to pursue it. So I'm glad you're bringing it again.
So it was brought up in the past, and we got nothing. So The reason I had council, Chamber came up to me about a sign, they like a digital sign, and they have a company, and they showed pictures, and if any of you are interested in seeing that, I have a thumb drive that has the example. Arnie's organization, CAEDC, is that right, has also been entertaining ideas for some sort of welcome sign. The Chamber wanted to put it on city property, but this was our sign that's gone, and I really don't know the history of that. I don't know if anyone else does. It's on private property, so it was never...
There was a lease?
There was a lease.
There was a lease, but that property
And the
sold.
lease ran out. And so our sign is gone. We have nothing. So, next slide. So, do we need, this is an obvious answer, does the city signage and billboard regulations need an update? Now, I'd just like to show you something, and I know you guys are kind of... This is the CZO, and it's got pages about signs. There is another one from the HLC and another one, District Design Guidelines. This is signs and signage, an ordinance, and one of them was 104 pages. So, yes, we need to. So, if this can be addressed in the committee, that would be something Deborah would have to, we would work, of course, with planning and zoning.
Yes, because the sign ordinance is a standalone ordinance now. It was previously in the CZO, I believe, but when we came back with the updated version, it's in our ordinances now as a chapter. And so it's a standalone, so we would need to work with the planning and zoning.
And I know the city, all of you knew it was on the lease, I didn't even know that.
Well, the city, it wasn't a city sign, I believe. I'm not sure who put it up, if it was the chamber or who, but yes.
Anyway, CAEDC is interested, P&Z, the chamber? Yes, Mr. Dyer.
Have we already asked Planning and Zoning Commission to look at this issue? Have they done anything on it?
They had, the problem with planning and zoning is we throw an ordinance at them and say, look at this. This ordinance has 104 pages, one of them. So, yes, we do, but they don't know what to do with it. So, what we need to do is get a committee or council members to specifically say what we would like. And what you're saying is true. That's what we need to do. But we need to tell them what to look at and what ideas we have or what we'd like. Yes, sir?
This for the staff. Are y'all having any problems with signs, applications? Is that creating a big backlog problem for y'all?
I've been here since January. There's not been a huge demand with signage as far as signage that does not necessarily meet our standards. Go ahead.
No, I don't believe we've had, our sign ordinance is lengthy, but it took a long time to get it here.
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering. I mean, if it's not creating a huge problem, I'm wondering why do we want to put people through, I've got one that's 114 pages, how long you say the other one? 104, and then how long is the others? To have them, to have them sift through those and look at them, and then we're gonna have to send it over to our attorney, not this one. We're gonna have to send it over to our attorney to have that checked.
Well, we only have
We look
one
like we're
sign
spending a lot of staff time and be spending a lot of legal bills to look and change something that apparently seems to be working fairly well. I mean, if it needs changing, I don't have a problem with it, but it doesn't sound like we've got a problem.
Mr. Dyer, do you remember the issues?
I'm concerned because you're saying we have multiple things, but I believe the fact is that when they passed the last one, it superseded these, and that this time we have one place in the CZO, a chapter that was just updated on signs. And if that's correct, which I believe it is, then if the Planning and Zoning Commission has a position about what they're asking for on this chamber sign, I would like them to advise us. That's their job. Give us some advice. What are they thinking? How does it compare to what the ordinance says? And then we can go from there. But if you believe that that's not going to come forth and you want a committee, I don't have any problem with that either. Let's get a committee and
I
let
brought
them do
this
it.
up because of your item, and I do not remember why no one agreed to it. I do remember Mayor Kelly said that Ms. Hinojosa had talked to Mr. Rips or something. I don't know what happened, but our Hancock had talked with TxDOT, and we can't put signs on the road or something. Mr. Carey.
Yeah, there's, I think that these are separate issues, that the sign ordinance is for commercial signs on commercial properties. There is a TxDOT rule right now that's actually legislated that there are no billboards between the city limits of San Antonio and Castroville allowed. So if it is to be built, it has to be built within the city limits of Castroville.
Right, and that's what Chamber did say. And I'm not sure, Arnie, did you say that also? I've gotten into it, but I need a committee to get it together.
So I mean, but I don't think that the sign ordinance that we have is going to prohibit us from doing what we need to do.
Correct.
So the point with the sign ordinance is, what I'm trying to get across, it's going to have to be on city property.
Yes.
So you guys are going to have, or somebody.
And it can't be in the Highway 90 right away.
That's
It's got to be outside.
Mr. Sherrill?
I agree with Mr. Dyer. I'm thinking we're going backwards here. I think we ought to let planning and zoning bring something to us.
Well, there's really, as I didn't get to say it, but it's not really an issue. We've got a huge sign ordinance, but the issue is getting the sign on city property.
Planning and zoning has nothing to do with this.
You guys need to,
Pick a spot?
Well, the chamber, I still haven't finished, but we can talk about it later, but we do need discussion. Chamber would like it at the Alsatian House, because that's where the intersection is and everybody stops. And that's city property.
But it's also a digital sign, so there is criteria for that.
Yeah.
And it may not be as aesthetically pleasing, depending on how it
I can
looks.
see that.
The issue, I think, for them is they're using high-technology sign because there are other cities nearby that have done this. They have been able to leverage the cost, which there is a big recurring cost from the company that manages the sign for them. So they want to put advertising on the sign to offset some of the cost. The sign's there 24 hours a day, and you can do lots of things with it. I had a presentation from the sign company many months ago, and before I brought it to the council the first time. And when the council wasn't interested, I went back to them and recommended that they go talk to P&Z and see if they could get some support in P&Z and get P&Z to come to the city council with a recommendation. I don't know if they did that, but it looks like they're doing that now.
No, I talked to Chamber, but let me finish something real fast. Go ahead, next one. This is a sign permit request. And so the signs, the location, on-premise, off-premise, I don't think we allow off-premise, but I think legislation is passed that you can have off-premise signs. I'm not sure, but that's something we need to look at. But this is all the stuff that has to go in. And I believe, Mr. Bob, it goes to you guys or HLC first?
Goes to us first.
Goes to you, then HLC?
But it
No.
can.
If it's a historic building.
I thought that HLC did commercial on Highway 90. No. I have an ordinance that said they do.
That's my understanding. I know when Hillside Chapel wanted to update their sign, we had to go through HLC.
Yeah. So that was one of the...
It's the Design Review Board, which is also under HLC.
Yes.
Okay, so Design Review Board under HLC on Highway 90. I have the ordinance. So it will have, you do this, and then it's going to go to you first, and then you send it to HLC if they approve it?
Design Review Board gives a certificate of appropriateness, and that's all. They don't approve it. They just give a certificate of appropriateness, and then it goes to planning and zoning.
Okay, next one. These are all the signs in cities. That's our sign right there now, that Castroville.
Donated by TxDOT.
There ain't nothing digital there.
Hey, who is going to pay for this sign? Is it?
I haven't got that far.
Okay,
That's the
you're going to get
committee.
that covered, right?
No, that's the committee. This monkey is not on my back. Chamber came to me, Artie's been talking about it, citizens have been asking, and quite frankly, we have nothing. Nobody knows they're coming to Castroville. I even know I'm going to Comfort. How many people are in Comfort? But at least they have a sign.
You even know you're going to Canepa.
Yeah. But these are examples of signs, so there's all sorts. I mean, that Kerrville sign's kind of nice, but anyway, I'm not going to get involved. This is your agenda, your choice, your town. But these are examples. That's a little digital sign that I found interesting right here.
That's not too digital. That's illuminated. That's not digital.
I was kidding. That's
okay.
Probably from 1960 or something. I don't know. Anyway, the chamber does, as Mr. Dyer said, want a digital. But I know there's a lot of people that oppose that, so that's why I like the committee together to collate and codify everything. Next slide. These are, I researched all the sign stuff, and this is only a portion, and you have a copy. These are sign requests and where they've gone, minutes from council, sign ordinance. There's over 50 of these things, and it started in 2012, I believe, that I can find. It was probably way before that. But it's contentious. The whole thing is very contentious. So you guys could certainly be the committee if you like and get CAEDC and the chamber involved, but I just like it addressed. And if you guys say no, no sign. And nobody knows where you test.
No, I think we need a sign. I just, here
I'd like
again,
a
I think it needs to come from a committee we already have in existence.
Well,
personally, not a new committee.
P&Z, that's not their job. It has to, it's, chamber is requesting a chamber sign that pays for itself, that they are going to advertise business on our parkland, and we will end up paying for it in 5 years and maintain it, unless we take out another contract with the company, which no one knows how expensive that is. But we could certainly get Chamber over here to talk to you. You guys, all I need is just
Mayor,
to let them
I would like to make
get
a
together.
motion that we allow you to form a committee to research the possible designs and placement of a Welcome to Castroville sign.
The second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. It passes 4-1. Okay. Now, we get our airport person here. He's going to talk about roof repairs. Discussion and appropriate action on improving the scope of work for the roof repairs on commercial hangar number 1. And it's David Kilpatrick, and he's been working too. Boy, our new people have been chief. They've been working like crazy. Thank you all.
Good evening, Council. I think you'll find in your packet, I know it's on number 10 on mine, the proposal that I've put together to start sending out to individual contractors to get them to come work on our roofing structures on the airport. The first page, the second page are the RFP, the request for proposal. The third page would be what I would send to the contractor with this, requesting that they come do a walkthrough. So I just would like to have your permission to move forward, get this set up. Yes, sir.
I have one recommendation.
Yes, sir.
You're using arrowheads, and it's going to be very hard to explain which one you want to talk about. I suggest you change the arrowheads to numbers.
Okay.
So somebody can say, paragraph 6, I'd like to talk about that, instead of arrowhead number 6.
Yes, sir.
That's the only change. I think this is a great idea. I fully support it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Comments?
How are we going to advertise this?
So I believe we set up with Ms. Deborah, who's going to list it in the appropriate legalities for the city.
We do it locally?
We do. By ordinance, we are to advertise in our official newspaper.
Okay.
Which, they go out some. I can advertise further out if you wish.
No,
It'll be on our website. and
Well, I'd
then-
just like to give locals an opportunity if anybody is in that field.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And that's what I would do as well. My first option is obviously local businesses, historically underused businesses, things of that nature within our local area, and then start pushing out to the surrounding areas from there. I found doing a lot of calling lately just due to our extreme damage that's happened at the airfield. There is a lot of companies in the larger cities, mainly to our east, that won't even come out here. So it's a challenge. They'll tell you straight up, hey, sorry, we don't go that far. So it's going to be a little bit time consuming, but we're going to get the right individuals to come in and give us the right quotes.
Thank you, David. We're still going to be looking at, looking for the lowest bid, correct?
I would say lowest bid or
Lowest bid
best
or
quality of service.
Best bid.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's
If somebody, I know that dealing in small-town business, you have a local competition, and there will be people that know each other, and one guy will say, hey, I'm busy for the next 6 months, I'm going to bring my bid up to this one, you drop yours down, that'll keep you busy, you help me on the backside for the next one. I want to eliminate that fair, if we have a huge discrepancy across the board, or we know that several people work with each other, that's where the sealed bids go to you guys and make that final determination to keep everything equal and fair across the playing field.
Well, I'm all in favor of local as long as we can, as long as the prices are within a reasonable range.
Yes, sir, and I would present that to you, local business 10% higher than somebody traveling out, or 8% or 25%. Here's where our pros and cons are.
Mr. Carey?
I can't think of anything you haven't covered. Your RFQ looks very comprehensive, and I'm all for it. Let's move forward.
Thanks, sir.
Ms. Martinez?
Thank.
Looking at this, I just had some things that we need to fine tune. I used to write these for the military, so.
I'm glad you're here.
Bullet number 13 regarding the contractor shall supply the city and building occupant with a schedule of work. I recommend 30 days prior because this is a business that's going to be impacted. That way they can move it around, and no later than 14 days in advance of the start of work date, because it could impact his ability to do his business. That's 13 and 14. 15, where it says contractor shall take all precautions to protect all city assets and occupants' property. Protect them from what? We need to fine tune that of what they're going to be responsible for protecting that from, because if we leave it vague like that and something happens, it could come back to bite us. Then I had a couple of recommendations, that the contractor needs to specify how long it will take them to complete the project and what their contingency plan is if there is a delay, and whether or not that will charge more money to us because of the delay, if it's on our end or their end. With updating of the roof and eaves, if anything is found that they need to further fix that wasn't in the scope of work, that they need to contact you immediately, and work needs to stop at that point. That way you can contact us and the proper review and discussion can take place before any money is allocated, like what happened on well 1. Contractor will house materials in an area designated by the airport manager so not to impede airport traffic and businesses. I've talked with some of the people that have their planes out there, and that is one of their concerns. They want to be able still to enjoy their planes, but yet get the job done. Let's see. That's about it.
Mr. Dyer?
I got one more question. David, this is the crop duster?
Yes, sir.
We're starting there first?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I have.
Deborah, this is a draft, right? We have to go through the lawyer and
For the scope of work, we can send it over to him to have him, look at it, but it's pretty much.
So my request would be, looking at this scope, if we can start getting an approved template, so we don't have to continue to pay legal counsel to approve something. Let's get a template that's approved by you, approved by them, so I can start annotating, shifting, and pushing out so we can get this work done. Councilwoman Martinez, when you talk about change orders must be approved, I'll fine tune that one through council. Can we put a number value on it? Meaning if it's less than $5,000, I can go to city administrator. Do you want to see a $10 change? Where's my left and right limits on that?
May I? Mr. Elliott?
I'm trying to remember our purchasing policy.
We had real big issues with change orders in the past.
No, and I completely understand, and I completely agree with...
That's why I brought this up, because
Right.
there has been a history of problems, and I'm trying to negate that if we can.
What I would recommend, if the change order is in above 5,000, then I would recommend it come back to you guys, the legislative branch.
Is that good? Discussion, thoughts?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. So,
I'll revise this this week and have it to you right away.
okay, let's get a motion from someone, please.
I don't know if we need a motion, he's just gonna, you've got your instructions.
So,
Directions.
Yeah.
Which we can revise and send it over to our attorney to review.
all right, so this will go to the attorney to review?
We can have him look at it and make
So
sure it's...
you will have to come back to us once he's reviewed it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, then I'll move we table item number 10 till the next meeting.
All right.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now,
It's good to have people with experience.
we did that one, so we are on executive session. I will read it. Texas Government Code, Section 551.087, Economic Development Negotiations, and 551.071, Consultation with Attorney, Legal Advice. City Council shall recess into executive session to discuss and deliberate regarding commercial or financial information that the city has received from a business prospect with whom the city is conducting economic development negotiations. Receive presentation from and deliberation with City Legal Counsel concerning potential development agreement with Highway 90, Castroville Partners, LTD, TerraCore. So we will recess and go to Mr. Elliott's room. So we will recess at 7:19. And you guys have your folders.